I don't know, live, be excellent, bring value, be professional, carry yourself with respect and dignity. And if a company doesn't want to hire you, you know what? You turn your head, you start your own thing, or you find another company. Because the thing is, like, if they want you to change your hair just to be hired, what else are they going to want you to change?
I'm your host, Walter Gaynor II, and I would like to welcome you to BossLocks, a show where we are redefining professionalism by proving that natural hair and professionalism do coexist. Now, you're about to hear the second pilot episode from BossLocks. We recorded it last year, and you might actually hear a little more confidence in my voice as I speak to Dr. Abasi Bomani. He shares his journey to becoming a doctor, how to take care of your mind and body, and why he would never cut his hair to please an employer. It was a really great conversation. And before we start the show, I also want to thank Dr. Abasi not only for doing this podcast, but for continuing to provide healthcare services during this COVID-19 outbreak. There are a lot of people making sacrifices right now to make sure we come out of this the best we can. And I would like to thank Dr. Abasi and really all of our essential workers, non-essential workers, families, communities, and everyone who's really doing their part to help us get through this. So without any further ado, thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoy our show. Welcome to BossLocks. My name is Walter Gaynor II, and I have the privilege of speaking to Dr. Abasi Bomani. Dr. Bomani, how are you doing today?
Oh, man, I'm blessed, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you reaching out.
Yes, man. Thanks for joining us on an early Sunday morning. I appreciate that. I know busy man, sleep is important.
Yeah.
So before we dive into everything, I just want to ask you, what are 3 things that most people just don't know about you?
3 things people probably wouldn't know is that I grew up in a music household, so I'm always, I play the piano, the congas, a little bit of trumpet. So,
Really?
Other than that, the whole left brain thing, I'm definitely pretty creative and artistic.
It's that creative side.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing is kind of the thing that, got me through this journey is meditation and like mindfulness. That's a big part of my life. So that's, I'm an avid meditator. So, all throughout medical school, that's kind of the thing that kept me, just lucid and being able to deal with that stress and deal with all that information, the constant studying, yeah.
Right.
And I guess another thing, I'm a fitness dude. I think that exercise and obviously, people feel like it's important, but to me, I've played sports all my life, so it's it's important for me, especially moving forward as a being a physician. That to me is like hand in hand. You can't have healthy eating and without exercise. To me, it's not just
can't talk about it unless you live it.
Yeah, no, for real, exactly. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who talk but don't walk the walk.
Nice. So what sports did you play?
I played baseball when I was younger. I played baseball since about 4 until I graduated from high school. Then played a little bit of football in high school. So I was always real busy with that.
Very active.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played soccer kind of from like elementary school. I got to play a little bit in college too.
Oh,
so
wow.
Definitely,
okay.
Yeah, it was great. So I definitely had to stay at that fitness mindset. Like once you are an athlete as well, you kind of keep that up in everyday life.
For sure.
Yeah. Kind of go back to the music household. What can you explain what that was like? Like, were your parents musicians or?
Oh man, yeah. My dad's saxophonist. He actually has an album out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but that was it. Yeah, he dropped that album in the maybe early 2000s when I was a kid, and it's called "View of the World." If anyone listening or who will listen, or if you want to listen, His name is Abasi Bomani, and it's a view of the world.
View
Shout
the
out my
world,
dad.
Quantico Navi. Yeah, shout out about. We'll put a link. We'll try to find it. Put a link out on the notes. Definitely, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
man.
Saxophone, man.
Yeah, so it was always, I was always waking up to jazz because he's a jazz musician. So I'd wake up to him playing piano or playing sax. So that's just kind of like imbued that
Nice.
spirit of music in me, man. So yeah,
Right. Man. So and also speak a little bit on meditation. Like what? I guess what got you into that?
man, I feel like being from the Bay Area, that's where I'm from. I'm from Berkeley. That kind of um, mindset on meditative living, spiritual living is kind of already in the air. But I started when I was in college, and
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of fell into it, man. And I just think that when you start on a path, books and information and people just start coming your way, and to help you on your journey. And I feel like that's just how it was. Like I just kind of fell into it, man. And to me, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
meditation is just a way to become more aware of God within, God within yourself, God within your body, God within your mind and your heart. So, it's just like that's with that aspect, it's to me is there's not many more things that can give you much more satisfaction, than doing that every day and just attuning and
Mm.
becoming one. So
That's interesting. I feel so. My dad especially very into meditation, and he's used it to
mm-hmm.
really kind of similar to what you found, like kind of find who he is within, the God within. And I know he kind
Mm-hmm.
of helped him with this like stuttering as well. And it's funny you actually say that because just recently a kind of mentor of mine recommended I get back into meditation because I was like kind of all over the place just trying to, and it really does help kind of calm you, kind of focus in, kind of see that end goal.
Yeah.
That's nice, yeah. And you say you're able to use it in school as well?
Oh man, what man? Because medical school people hear about, but I feel like unless you know someone who's in medical
Mm-hmm.
school, it's just the sheer amount. It's not that it's difficult. I think it's just the sheer amount of information that you have to remember and regurgitate,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just the marathon aspect of it all because it doesn't end in a year or 2 years. It's just this marathon you have to keep plugging and chugging. So.
It never stops.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely never stops. But I think meditation just allowed me to kind of, just see it from a different perspective and not get caught up in my mind. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just another test. It's just another.
Another
Yeah,
test, essentially.
yeah. I have to succeed, and yeah, I have to prepare and do well. But for that aspect, we all do in some whatever we're doing. So, I think it's just like you said. It calms your mind. It just allows you to have a greater perspective that's not based in totally in ego, but more based in just objective reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of talked about like the kind of everything you have to carry being a medical student. I studied kind of business and marketing in college, and I definitely
Mm,
stressed, but I always remember like anytime I was around a med student, I'd be like, man, this is nothing compared to what you have to go through, and it just doesn't stop. For me, it's over after 4 years, but you have to keep going.
yeah,
That's really cool, yeah. And speaking on that, I want to congratulate you because I saw one of your posts that you were matched
yeah.
program. Can you kind of explain exactly what that means for you? And yeah, what exactly does that mean for you?
Um, okay, well, man, it's huge, man, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
you spend all this time, these 4 years, just for that one moment, really, to transverse
Mm-hmm.
into the next plane, and it's like, man, you know, um, because to share, so you have to take board exams. Your second year, you take step one, and your third and fourth year, which are your clinical years, you take step two CK and step two CS, right? And so I failed step two CK, which is not uncommon because it's a
Oh
difficult
yeah.
test. It's like 9 hours, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I had to take the year off, so I was kind of devastated, and I was in a low place, you know what I'm saying? And and I learned a lot from that year though, because you just have to learn to pick yourself up and just keep going, because failure is just feedback, of what you're doing or what you're not doing. So
Wow.
you know that whole year just proved very, very influential and very necessary for me. So matching moving forward, Like I posted another post on Instagram of things I wrote down, of goals that I wanted to reach. You know, I wrote them down and I followed through, and that, you know, all those came into fruition, you know, by, you know, just staying the course and, you know, having the tenacity to want them to manifest. And, you know, so matching to me was like, damn, I actually did it. And, you know, through all the, you know, the struggles and the ups and downs and the adversities, like, damn, I did it.
You did it. Wow.
Yeah.
Double congratulations. Not only did you make it, you had to stumble first and then come back and get it. That's even bigger achievement. That's amazing. So, yeah, and I did see that post where you kind of wrote down your goals. I was looking at that. It said like, what was it? Like you had to study basically all day, 9 hours a day, do like 80 questions, read an hour a day, take 2 practice a day. Was this an everyday thing for you?
Yeah, pretty much every day. I have I have a really good friend, and she was like, "You don't study 9 hours a day," but but that was my goal though. It was definitely like 7, you know, 6 or 7. So, but yeah, man, you tried to follow that to the T, and you know, so I was successful. So obviously it worked. So for anybody,
yeah, it worked out.
For who needs to you know, have a goal, just, you know, the whole thing about writing it down and following through is real. It's very real.
Real. Wow. Yeah, my dad talks about that a lot, really just kind of imagining it, putting it down on paper, and like having the kind of following that list. When it's written down, you see it, you more likely to live it. That's crazy. Yeah. Man, 9 hours a day. They always talk about like if you want to be like the LeBron James or Steph Curry, you really have to put in that 10,000 hours, and you definitely did that. Did that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you take a different approach to your second time around?
Yeah, I think I was much more focused, and I think it was, my back was against the wall. It was kind of necessity, and you know, I think that when your back is against the wall, it kind of really reveals who you really are, in regards to adversity. Because, you know, I could have, if I didn't make it, then I would have, you know, had this kind of crushing debt, and, you know, I would have had to figure something else out. I mean, I could have definitely applied next round, but, you know, the more times you fail a test, or if you don't match, it just makes it that much harder to match the next round, just because, you know, just a, you know, probability, because there are just so many programs who won't even look at your application if you know, don't meet certain criteria, like first time passing, or, you know, this or that. So, yeah.
Man. So when it comes to matching, I guess what all plays into it? Let's say like you didn't make it. You said these programs won't even really look at you if you don't pass. Like, so was there like no other options for you?
So there are certain programs, like, and so I'm an IMG, which is called International Medical Graduate, which just means that I went to a medical school, even though it was U.S. medical school. Their campus was in Dominica in the Caribbean. Now it's in Barbados, but the school I went to was Ross University School of Medicine. So in the States, there are certain residency programs who are not what we call IMG friendly, right? So they're not really taking a whole lot of IMGs, but there are programs who do. So what I mean when I say there are certain programs that will flag your application, basically it won't get through. It's like programs like that who don't take IMGs. And then there are programs who don't take people who did not pass Step 2 CPA on the first attempt. So you know what I'm saying? So it just starts to limit your programs. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I thankfully had enough programs and enough choices, you know, and, you know, I'm definitely am at the residency that I'm meant to be at, for sure. But, you know, some people don't make it. And, you know, for those people, man, keep your head up and, you know, keep pushing, you know. But, yeah, man. So it's like,
you made it.
Yeah. But if you don't make it, then you have to apply the next round, and that's a whole year. So that's why it's also devastating. Because
wow.
Yeah. So you have to like find something to do, you know, to make you look more clinically relevant. Then you have to, you know, make some money, obviously.
Right.
So it's like it kind of puts you in definitely a jam.
A tough place to be. Wow. So you really came through. Very nice. The power of meditation and kind of writing those goals down came out. Nice.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Nice. So, what drew you to this kind of crazy path you're taking? Like, what inspired you to kind of follow medicine?
Oh man, I don't remember this, but my sisters and people would say that I said I wanted to be a doctor when I was younger. I don't even remember any of that, but I think as I to come of age, and truthfully, my dad was like, doctor or lawyer, which one? And I was like, all right, there's no way in hell I'm gonna be a lawyer. So I said, I'll be a doctor because it fits my personality, and then also on, more innate side is the body has a just innate capacity to heal. Like we call ourselves healers, but really we don't do the healing. The power of the body and the spirit of the body does the healing. We just, we try to create the environment so that can happen really when it comes down to it. So we're really just facilitators when it comes down to it. So that aspect of, just changing the environment to me is very interesting, and it draws me in. And then it's the fact that, people in America, especially Black people and people in lower, socioeconomic, statuses, just tend to suffer from certain health and diseases that just aren't, just our lifestyle diseases. And it doesn't need to happen like that, man. Heart disease is the number one killer. You top 10 killers, you got diabetes up there, you got cancer, you got heart disease, you got, what I'm saying? It's just like, those are completely preventable, honestly. And we don't have to live like that. So it's kind of like me seeing that is like, okay, well, that kind of makes me feel like I can make a difference, because part of that is just education and exposure, because people learn that well, eating this way can cause downstream these effects. Well, maybe I don't want to eat this way because maybe I don't want to live my life, crippled. Maybe I just want to make it to 80 or 90 and living free and be able to jog and be able to walk in the park without having this wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? Or be able to run a marathon, with my kid, because one of my best friend's dad, he just turned 61, man. And he runs Tough Mudders. I don't know if you ever heard of Tough Mudders, but you probably have. Right. He runs Tough Mudders.
It's like the Spartan race, where it's like kind of go through all the nature, all the forces.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a 10-mile obstacle course, and
wow.
Yeah, but he runs marathons, and he runs that
61 years old.
Yeah, man, he's a beast.
Yeah.
But it's like, he took care of himself, and that's an example of what happens when we take care of ourselves. Is that this idea of aging is a very new phenomenon. Just, of course the body ages, but this idea of being like decrepit and crippled and, can't move, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not akin to the human body, because it's made to move. It's made for locomotion. So, I don't, I make it my goal to, in the future, to just, expose and educate and push people towards the preventative side of medicine, of eating well and taking care of themselves, so they really don't need to, so they really don't need a doctor at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, honestly, you do need a doctor for some things, because that's just the nature of the, society we live in. But the thing is, if you're doing your part, if you're living well, if you're eating well, if you're eating plant-based, and, if you're exercising and you're doing things so that your stress doesn't overcome you, you know what I'm saying? All those simple, basic things that everybody knows that we need to be doing, but somehow there's inhibition because there's no immediate gratification. You know what I'm saying? The gratification is long-term. And so people have trouble seeing long-term gratification, and then therefore doing the things that are going to push them towards that. So,
wow. So like, yeah, eating apple today obviously won't necessarily see the effect, but kind of continuing that,
exactly,
making a habit. That's interesting.
Yeah, because your youth, it will mask what's going on with your body, because you're young, you're exuberant, you're vibrant, you have energy, you heal faster, and that plaque and that cholesterol hasn't built up in your arteries. You know what I'm saying? Your arteries aren't hard, but 20 years down the line, things are going to change. Your body starts to, move a little slower. So it's just like all that stuff that you did, all that eating, that the improper eating that you did is going to catch up with you. So why not start now and build the foundation, you know what I'm saying? Build the discipline so that later, you're good.
Mm-hmm. So what are that's so as you're saying this, I started to think like, man, oh man, I feel like I'm not really paying that much attention. Do I need to like what? But at the same time, like, what do I need to do? Because I don't necessarily want to like give up everything. But you did mention there's some simple things we can do.
Yeah,
What are one of those simple things that we can start doing today and continuing that will
man, I
help
think
us with our?
yeah. I think one of the simplest things to start doing today and help with the path is really, I tell everybody this, eat some greens, but like eat one big bowl of greens a day. And I don't mean lettuce. I mean like spinach, Swiss chard, kale, collard greens, like the greens that grow from the ground that are packed with phytonutrients and, these compounds and chemicals, which are very powerful and have powerful effects on your body, and have a plethora of antioxidants, of vitamins and minerals, that's really important. And we kind of overlook that. But that's really important. So that's what I would say starting for everyone. I told a friend one time, he was asking me how to lose weight. And I was like, dude, just eat one big bowl of greens every day. That's just it. For lunch.
As a meal.
As a meal. Exactly. As a meal. Big bowl of greens. You know what I'm saying? Get your dressing, add, some beans in it if you feel like you're not going to be full, but just, you got to increase, I think it's better to focus on incorporation than elimination, because I think if you focus on incorporation of more plant-based items, naturally, you're going to want less of what else you're eating. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're eating something that's really fatty or greasy. Like it might taste good to you at that time, but I think the more you purify your body and the more you allow yourself to eat things that are actually nutritious for your body, you start feeling the difference between what you eat. You eat a salad, greens, you feel good. You eat that other thing that you've been eating, and you're like, oh shit, that doesn't feel so good. So to me, it's a natural progression. So I think that's one thing that everybody could do every day. That would really be a huge benefit.
Nice. One big bowl of greens as a meal. Spinach, collard greens. That doesn't sound too bad. Okay. So what's one, or can you give us like two other kind of keys we can start implementing?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I think you got cut out.
Oh yeah. Can you give us like two other kind of steps we could start taking to live that happy, healthy life?
Absolutely. I think getting also getting active.
Getting active?
Yeah, man. However you want to get active, get in the gym, do yoga, go on hikes, play soccer. Just get active, because I think it's like a stone rolling down a hill. You have to get it moving. You have to get some momentum. And once you do that, it kind of just encourages you to keep eating healthy, to keep moving, because it makes you feel good. And that's kind of one of the things that, gives us motivation, that what we're doing makes us feel good. It's positive feedback. So, you have to make yourself feel good. And then it's just incentive to keep moving forward. So exercise, really getting moving. And then another thing, besides the diet, I think that having some kind of like spiritual or meditative mindfulness, something like that just allows you to be stress free, because stress is kind of like that underlying killer, and because the stress hormone cortisol, you need it in your body. It performs a lot of functions, but when it's unchecked, it wreaks havoc on your system, man. And in America, we live in daily stress, so it's stress in the air because it's toxins in the air. It's stress from the food because the food causes inflammation. It's stress out in the environment because there's so much noise and so much, just commotion. You know what I'm saying? And until you retire to a place that's very quiet, like you go on vacation, you're on the beach, you kind of realize like that's not really life. You know what I'm saying? Life is, the myriad of aspects, but I think that having that quiet time and having that peace of mind really does a lot for a person's spirit and therefore a person's body, because the body and the spirit and, and the mind are all connected. So, you can't have a chaos in your environment and then expect your body to be extremely healthy. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think that's also important.
I really like each of those for different reasons. I feel as though they're all something we could start doing today, like the eating healthy, just one big bowl of greens. You mentioned like you don't have to stop kind of eating a burger or fries, just start like implementing some other things into it as well. That's something, and like spinach, collard greens, we all have them for like Thanksgiving and everything. So that's definitely something we can start putting in. Then getting active, kind of going on like walks, soccer, running, yoga. There's plenty of ways to get active as well, and it could just be as simple as like a quick 10-minute walk to start off
That's
with,
right.
and then the meditative mindset and kind of eliminating stress like that, because I feel as though we're kind of in this realm where like mental health is becoming a bigger and bigger
Mm,
topic, and we're seeing it in a lot of different places. And I feel as though stress is a big can be a big factor when it comes to like, your mental kind of stability. Do you kind of as you're studying health, do you or has your studies taken you down like a focus on mental health?
you know, it's funny you said because I used to want to go into psychiatry because I felt like there was something I could add to psychiatry in injecting like the mindfulness and meditation in there. And I chose
Mm-hmm.
family medicine, which you do get your great deal of dealing with certain things like depression and anxiety. And I that's kind of where I also want to, have some effect, but probably with that, like meditative and mindfulness living. And actually, my plan is really just to, to go out into communities and to kind of just, you know, have some workshops and things like that and just give people tools. So that's definitely one of the tools that I would give. And I would give that because it's something that you can always have as an arsenal for yourself. And, going through this process of medical school, like, you know, when you're stressed, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, let me sit down and meditate. And then, 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, I just have it's like I have a new lease on life. I have a different perspective on my
Nice.
stress, so it's like, you don't have to live with this stress. I just think we don't know other means. So we turn to other things, we turn to food. Some people have so much
Mm.
stress and trauma in their life that they turn to drugs or they turn to violence. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking
Mm-hmm.
for something to ease that, to fill the void. But I think turning inside and, with mindfulness and meditation, a lot of times it's, you know, it really does help. I'm not saying it's a panacea, but it really does help. And that's what we're looking for, help, right? So,
Wow. So how can someone kind of get started with meditation? Maybe someone who's never done it before.
absolutely. And I think the best thing is just, to sit down in an environment that you feel comfortable in and it's quiet
Mm-hmm.
and just really just focus on your breathing, man. Because breath is life, right? When breath expires from the body, death begins its chapter. So, just
Mm-hmm.
focus on the breath going in your nose and out your nose and breathe correctly. And correct breathing means that when you inspire, your abdomen pushes outward away from your body. And then when you expire, your abdomen sucks inside, sucking your belly button towards your spine. And that's really correct breathing because it allows your lungs to expand downwards. And so therefore you get more air. Um, and we need oxygen because, oxygen
Right.
is, yeah,
That is a lifeline.
yeah, that is, man. But you'd be surprised how many people, you can tell a person's mental state from their breathing. So people
Mm-hmm.
who are calm tend to breathe slower, and people who are hyped up or or anger or these other emotions tend to breathe faster. So if you can control your breath, then you can control your mind state, and you can kind of be more aware of your surroundings and how you feel inside. So in saying that, if you sit down and practice just breathing and being focused on your breath, you get that benefit, but you also get the benefit of focusing your mind, because what will happen when you sit down and focus on your breath is that your mind is going to wander, you know,
Mm.
and that's going to happen for everybody. But through repeated exercise and through repeated trying, your mind will not wander anymore. And you'll be able to really focus on your breath for longer periods of time. And that's what's really called meditation, when you're not,
Uh,
so engrossed in your thoughts and you're in the moment, because that's really what, that's the only thing there is truly.
Interesting. That is interesting because, like, definitely, I know the mind is kind of when you start thinking of things, when you start just sit down, you might just get caught back up with your
Mm-hmm.
daily day to day tasks. So it might not work the first time, but kind of that kind of making it a habit
Right.
kind of leads you down. Then your mind will just take you down the meditative route. That's nice. Very cool. And you mentioned kind of going into the community, and I want to hear a little bit more about that because I feel as though, and you also talked about like how information like really what kind of separates us from the healthy life is not having that information. And I like what you said, going to communities because you're really kind of bridging the gap. And that's one thing with BossLocks and everything I do. I like to kind of serve as that bridge between information so that everyone has that same access. So, can you talk about a little bit how you imagine yourself going into communities?
Man, I just yeah, that's a great point you made, man. And about access, and yeah, I mean, I just see myself having like workshops in the communities and um, fairs, but more so just like workshops, something really free that people can go to just get some information on, just let me present these ideas to you. You know what I'm saying? Like about what you're
Mm-hmm.
eating, about how that causes this and how that can cause that, because ideally you go to your doctor and you're in there for 15 or 20 minutes, but that's not enough time to really educate you or disseminate information to get you thinking, to give you some agency for your own self. You know what I'm saying? So my idea is, I want to go out, have these talks, have these workshops, bring some healthy meals, and really demonstrate, how to cook, how to prepare some things, the benefit of eating these things, how to meditate, how to mindfulness, what exercise, because I'm also a personal trainer. So what exercises to do, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, that act stuff
Okay.
to me is like, is that
Yeah.
exposure and that information is gold, because my idea is I want you to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? I want you to have your own
Mm-hmm.
agency and to be control of your own destiny as much as possible. So you need information to do that, because I went through medical school, so therefore I got the training to be able to look at information and sort through it. But there's so much information on the internet about quote unquote what is healthy and what is not healthy that it's very confusing. It can be very confusing and a lot and overwhelming. So um, like I said, just giving that access into that, into that world, and just the ability to step through it and be like, okay, well, you don't have to have a lot of money to be healthy, which is a misconception. You just
Hmm.
have to change what you're eating, by bulk. If you want to eat fancy gourmet, um, vegan food or healthy food, then yeah, it's going to be expensive. Gourmet food is expensive anywhere. But if you want to eat lentils and black beans and pinto beans and kidney beans and kale and, Swiss chard and, and fruits, then that's actually relatively cheap because you can buy in bulk, you know?
Wow. So I'm glad you brought that up actually, because I think maybe one of the most popular kind of reasons to not eat healthy. Everyone thinks about organic, and we think about like Whole Foods and places like
Mm,
that, where you might have to spend half your check just to eat healthy. And like for a lot of people, that's not an option. Like, why
right.
do that when I can just get something right here? It's a lot faster, one cheaper. It feeds everyone. So, but you mentioned a couple of things like lentils, kidney beans, and kale. So really, just kind of going to the grocery store you're already going to, kind of picking something else up. It won't break your bank. That's one step you could take to have a better diet.
Yeah, yeah, man, absolutely. And I think, yeah, definitely beans, because beans are very nutritious, man. They, you add them with some grains, they're complete protein. They have tons of phytonutrients that have antioxidants, that are going to obviously help your body, make you feel better. But I think the thing is also is like, you can shop at Whole Foods, but Whole Foods is known to be expensive because it is very expensive. But there are other places that you can shop at, no matter what city you're in. International markets, which they're in about a lot of cities, in about every city. Aldi is very popular, but Aldi,
Mm.
I don't know. I know they're a European store, but Aldi is actually very cheap. And, I recently read something that they're going to expand their market to only organic farms. So it's like, Aldi is a pretty cheap place to buy fruits and vegetables and things you need. And now they're expanding to being organic. So that's an option. And then, of course, farmers markets and actually buying from farms. So that idea of, like you said, eating healthy is expensive. I think it's just misinformation. But if you know how to do it, it can be less expensive. And then therefore you won't feel the need to, say, oh man, well, I can go to McDonald's or I can, get this and this for much cheaper, but it's going to cost you much more later. So.
Nice. And that's really big. All these strictly going to organic farms, because you're right. They actually have started to shop at Aldi's, and it is like I found that some things are like similar price to price similarly to Walmart, and sometimes even cheaper, and it's good quality food. So that's really cool. They can continue that practice, but just raising the bar for quality. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, and they really are popping up all over the place too.
They really are, yeah.
Yeah, taking over. We're going to take a quick break to tell you about Wrap-A-Lock. Wrap-A-Lock is a hairstyling tool and technique that creates curls, spirals, and waves on natural and locked hair. This tool can be worn undetectable in the hair as a style, and when removed, your curls will blossom. One of my favorite things about Wrap-A-Lock is that this patented and professionally made product was created by a black woman. So not only can you wear Wrap-A-Lock while going about your daily activities without worrying about looking unprofessional, when you place your order, you're also supporting a black and woman-owned business. So if you'd like to learn more or go ahead and place your order, please visit the link in our description or the show notes on our website to get Wrap-A-Lock, the dual hair styling tool. Thank you. Now back to our show. Nice. Now I want to pivot a little bit and talk about kind of the work environment. Because part of what we're doing here is talking about natural hair and diversity in these professional environments and kind of breaking through to shine the light on some things. So to kind of speak on you a little bit more, how long have you had your locks?
I had my locks for about 7 years, since 2000.
7 years?
Yeah.
Oh, because you had it throughout school, and as you're going to this residency, you're going to continue wearing them.
That's right.
Nice. So to you, would you refer to your hair as a hairstyle or a lifestyle?
I think it's, you know what? I think it's a hairstyle, really, because if I didn't have the hair, I still would be living this lifestyle of the frame of mind that I have with this hair. But I will say that, I guess it could be considered both because I think that the commitment, to having my hair growing, because I had short hair all my life. But I think it does, it kind of just expanded my mind as far as allowing myself to grow with my hair. You know what I'm saying? Like you allow your hair to grow. You're going to deal with some things in your life that you just have to, grow through. And I think that's kind of the thing with the hair that's kind of allowed me to see you just got to keep growing, man. The hair is just going to keep growing. And at this point in time, like, there's no need for me to cut it because I love my hair and I wouldn't cut it for anybody. That's not how I was raised, so yeah.
You say that again to get cut a little bit. You say you love your hair.
I said I love my hair and I wouldn't cut it for anybody. And that's how I was raised, is to be unapologetically yourself. And yeah.
Glad you said that because I know, me myself, I've had a lot of people recommend that I cut it, and it kind of comes out of a place of love. It's really people in my own community, which is interesting. Because they kind of have that fear of like, you are this great person, you can do a lot, but this hair might hold you back. So kind of as you pursue your kind of path, your career, kind of going into medicine, how do you see your hair becoming a problem?
No, I don't think it's a problem at all. And I actually, honestly, I don't even think about my hair most times. You know what I'm saying? Like when I enter a patient room or I meet an attending or I don't I'm not really conscious of my hair. You know what I'm saying? I'm conscious of when other people say anything about it, but even that is, they don't say much. And to me, it's just my hair. You know what I'm saying? And if we're, other races whose hair grows a different way can wear their hair that way. So I just feel like this is how my hair grows, so it's neat. It's probably cleaner than yours. I mean, that's just how I feel because of the fact that of the maintenance it requires. So really, it's no need for me to feel any type of way about my hair, because really at the end of the day, I think that people are like, when you go into medicine, you go into law, or you go into whatever you're going to, your ability to solve problems and bring value is more important than anything else. I think when it comes down to it, anything else, if they focus on my hair, or somebody focuses on my hair, that's just petty, and that just tells me that you're insecure with yourself. Really, when it comes down to it.
Wow. So when you're in these rooms, you first walk in as you, Abasi Bomani, here to solve a problem and provide value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I step in, and I'm, of course, I think of myself as a black man, first and foremost. So I'm already aware of that. I'm already aware of, who's looking at me, how they're looking at me, how he get up in this space. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those questions that are honestly, to be frank, people are asking, and who's this person with this locks? He got this MD. You know what I'm saying? But to me, that's powerful, because, a lot of us aren't in these spaces anyways, right? So
that's right.
When we get in these spaces, and we, my locks are about down on my back, middle of my back.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, what's up? I did the same thing you did. You know what I'm saying? And I got the same, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm a black man. So obviously there's just other hurdles, and other battles that I have to experience that you may never even experience. So, to me, it's important for me to be in this space with locks, because then another person, who sees me, maybe another young man who has locks, or is, maybe afraid to grow locks, can see me and be like, damn, okay, well, he's in it, and it doesn't seem like it's an issue. So therefore I could do it. And I think that's important, because that's just exposure, man. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to conform to them. This is not the 20s where, we were so chastised and we were so cut out of everything. And this is 2019, and we are still chastised and cut out of everything, but at least we have some access to be able to, be in these spaces and own our own.
Yeah, you were right. You touched on a couple of things. One, kind of the exposure piece of it as well. Because I would say for me, I feel as though in some ways I could be a little stubborn. My sibling likes to say that a lot. But I think also I've kept my hair more so kind of when kind of challenged to cut it and everything. I've always known that it is possible, because I personally have seen other people. And I think without that,
right,
I may have ended up cutting my locks a long time ago, but always knew, like, you know what, they made it through, and they probably faced with the same type of situations I have, so it must be possible, and I think that's very important. So, kind of in your field, one, how diverse would you say is it?
I think it depends on where you go and where you are in the country, but I think generally there are more, Caucasians, Americans who are physicians, of course. And then you have, the myriad scatter of, like, Indian physicians and physicians, or African physicians, Africans from the continent, of course, physicians. And then, so it's kind of like, it can be diverse, but I think it relatively speaking, it definitely depends on where you go, for sure. Like, there's obviously more diversity in certain parts of New York. Let's say hospitals in Harlem, obviously, because of the resident population there is, is mostly black historically. So, yeah, I think it depends on where you go, for sure.
Gotcha. And also, kind of go back, you mentioned before that we walk in, you're like, you are a black man first. So just wonder, when your approach to medicine, would you say, I guess, are you a doctor first or a black doctor first?
I'm a doctor first. Absolutely.
Doctor first.
Yeah, I'm a doctor first. I'm here to help people reach their full capacity and help heal. And, so I'll never, I don't, whatever color or whatever, that person, even if they don't like me, whatever that person is in front of me, I'm here to help them. But I can't help but to also have the identity of being a black doctor, because I know what I went through to get to this point. I know what people before me went through to get to that point that they were. I'm following in their footsteps. You know what I'm saying? And half of the things that are in medicine today, or many things, are attributed to, black pioneers and black inventors. You know what I'm saying? So, so many things that almost it kind of trips you out, because you're saying, wow, like, I'm a doctor, but, really, I'm a minority in this field. However, a lot of inventions in this field are created by minorities. So I can't help but to have that I'm a black doctor in mind, but I'm a doctor first, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up as well. There are a lot of kind of like innovators, pioneers, inventors that we just don't know about. I know last year I started making a mission to kind of learn more about, because typically we only have February, or other people teach us something. So I was like, I have to start kind of every now and then just go out and learn something new. So off the top of your head, do you know of any inventions that were invented by black people, or any like innovators that you'd like to share?
Yeah, man, Charles Drew Hall, blood bank, that's huge. And then
Charles Drew Hall, the blood bank.
Blood bank.
He started the
storing
the blood drives.
Yeah, being able to store
really?
blood. Yeah, man, to for transfusions and whatnot, which is kind of huge, because it's kind of like it's normal for us now, right? But
right,
yeah, man.
Yeah, if trucks pull up to do blood drives, so wow, that is huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
To do a little piece on him. Nice,
for sure.
Very cool.
And I was looking at recently Daniel. Yeah, I think everybody knows about him. Daniel Hale Williams, It was like 1893, and he did the first like successful pericardium surgery, and like the patient lived like 20 years after that with no infection or nothing. And yeah, I just think that we kind of sweep things under the rug, but that's pretty remarkable in that time, because this brother, ostracized from being able to practice medicine in any hospital because he's a black man, and it was illegal for black people to practice medicine in hospitals. And
wow.
So he was like the first African American to join the American College of Surgeons and whatnot. But that's what I'm saying about excellence. And when you come into spaces, regardless of what you look like, or regardless of your hair, you have to put excellence and bring value first, so that even if you're in a situation like 1893, we know what it was like for a black man being a doctor. But he was the first African American to join the American College of Physicians. And, that just speaks volumes, man. And so he established his own hospital, and was invited to work in the Freedmen's Hospital in Washington, D.C. Way back when in the late 1800s. So it's like that aspect. It doesn't matter about your hair. If I'm excellent and I can solve problems and I bring value, if you discriminate against me, then I know it's just your insecurity, and then you feel threatened, which I understand, because
right. Wow, that's interesting. So, kind of, if you or when you are faced with kind of these, I guess, kind of challenges, and people who do look at you in kind of discriminatory way, I guess it's like thinking like that, like, okay, so you're the one who feels insecure. Does that help, like, kind of ease or make it kind of easier to process and keep going about your day?
Yeah, man, because you get microaggressions. Like in medical school, I definitely got microaggressions, and people don't necessarily say things out loud, right? And especially in that environment, because they understand the repercussions of that. But there are
Mm.
microaggressions that you experience that you say, was that something directed at me, or am I tripping or whatever? So I think you just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you learn to, to really just be, I think, honest and be a human being really comes down to it. Because I think, yeah, people are threatened and people have their guard up because they just don't know how to, generally, people just don't know how to take a black man or a black woman. They don't know how to act around you. They don't know, what to say, if that's offensive, or which is very strange to me because I'm a human being at the end of the day. Like, you deal with your colleagues, you deal with your mom, you deal with your sisters, what offends them. So why wouldn't you think that certain
Mm-hmm.
things like that offend me, or so it's like, I always try to look at someone's psychology first, and I understand when
Mm.
I walk in a room, I might threaten you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a muscular dude with locks, and I'm not a buffoon. I'm a smart dude, so I understand that you might be intimidated, but that's not my mission to intimidate you. I'm just here to learn, and you know what I'm saying, and to live my best life. So yeah, so I say if you making those microaggressions, or you do this, you do that, I know you have to be insecure. You have to feel threatened
Mm.
because what creature, you know what I'm saying? What other creature does that? When they feel threatened, they, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, because otherwise it would be love. It's either fear or love. So which one is it? So um,
Mm.
that's kind of how I
Kind
look
of speaks on the fight or flight method in a
at it.
way.
For real, I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for real, there's a lot of that going on. Uh,
Wow. Hmm. So, man, you've dropped a lot of gems so far in this. I appreciate it all. I think I have a lot to learn from that, kind of the way you walk in your circles, kind of making sure you put that value first and say, hey, I'm here to solve a problem, not here to, not anything else but a healer, kind of as you mentioned before.
mm,
Um, I wanted to present a couple kind of scenarios to you, and you've kind of spoke on it already, but just to kind of go more in depth.
sure.
So like recently, I'm not sure if you heard about it, but recently, like Andrew Johnson, who's a high school wrestler who
Mm,
was getting ready to um, kind of begin that match, and right before the referee told him that in order to continue, you have to cut your hair. He had locks.
right.
So my question with you is, have you been faced with an ultimatum like this regarding your hair?
I have to say that I never have, never.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody say anything about it. I had one colleague say something about cutting my hair for interview processes, but I held my tongue of what I really wanted to say. But nah, I don't think anybody, nobody ever has, man. And that could be attributed to the area that I'm in. I'm sure if I was,
Mm-hmm.
in certain other areas, they might have asked me, but my answer it always would be no,
Yeah. So
absolutely
if
not.
faced with like a opportunity to advance in your career, kind of get that dream job or position, but in order to do so, you had to cut, you would still say no?
Nope, I'm not cutting my hair because this is the thing about power, man. If I have to ask you for something, that's not true power. You know what I'm saying? And why should I have to sacrifice myself and who I really am and my values and what I deem important? Because it's not just about hair, but it's about the principle, the fact that I have to change myself to fit into your paradigm, and that's just not how I think, not how I was raised. And fortunately, I had a father who had locks and was in these spaces with these people because he was also a contractor, and so it's like, no, I absolutely not. I don't need to change myself. What I'm bringing to the table is what I'm bringing to the table. If you can accept it, you can leave
Mm-hmm.
it. If you were if I'm have to change myself, there is somewhere else that I can be completely myself and give what I need to give. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mm-hmm.
just don't feel like, if for anybody in those situations, if they say you have to do this or do that, this is not, this is the age of technology, man. This is the age of self-sufficiency, and there's just too many ways to have the means to live well. You know what I'm saying? This is not the 1910 or 1920, and even then, there was segregation. So in our spaces, we looked how we looked, but in their space, if we
Mm-hmm.
could try to go in their spaces, they want, there's a aspect of conformity that is expected. But no, absolutely not, man.
We're taking a quick break to tell you about today's sponsor, Just Black. Just Black is a new Black-owned apparel company designed to uplift humanity and create opportunities for the Black community. Visit www.justblack.co and place your order today. That is www.justblk.co. Thank you. Now back to our show. It's interesting. I like what you said about this is the age of self-sufficiency. Kind of, we do have more options, things like that, and maybe this path may be an ultimate path, like amazing. But I guess you're right. You know, if you have to ask for kind of permission in a way that's maybe not all what it seems to be.
Yeah.
Nice. Now the other thing I wanted to ask you is, so to kind of base it, back in 2016, there was this big kind of court ruling. This lady was not hired because of her hair. She kind of brought it up with the Equal Opportunity Commission.
Right.
But anyways, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals basically ruled that deciding not to hire someone based on their locks is legal. And that was 3 years ago, but till this day, it still is legal for companies to not hire someone based on their hair.
Yeah.
So kind of with that in mind, I guess, what advice would you give to someone with natural hair who is looking for that job or advancement in their career?
Don't change yourself.
Don't change yourself.
I mean, I just feel like we always, throughout history, you know, at least in the last 100 or 200 years, we always have to change ourselves to fit somebody else's idea of what is beautiful or what is right, or, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, innately, you know, you are beautiful. The way your hair grows is beautiful. Of course, maintain it. Of course, moisturize it. Of course, make sure it looks neat. But don't add chemicals to it to make it look like somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just not truth. Your truth is how, you know, what you were given as you came into this world. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're going to leave with anyways. And you can't take anything else with you. So
That's true.
So it's like, no, man, no. Live, you know, be excellent, bring value, be professional, you know, carry yourself with respect and dignity. And if a company doesn't want to hire you, you know what? You turn your head, you start your own thing, or you find another company. Because the thing is, like, you know, if they want you to change your hair just to be hired, what else are they going to want you to change? You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to create a worker bee. They want you to take off, you know, your clothes and then put you in this same gown that everybody else is wearing. But, you know, that's that kind of company mentality. And I get that because they want everybody to be uniform. But that's just not, we don't have to do that. And I think we should stop doing that. And if we stop doing that, regardless if it's legal, quote unquote, legal or not, you know, value is value. Excellence is excellence. And people want value. People want excellence because excellence and value creates profit. And when it comes to the bottom line, that's the language that a lot of companies speak. It's just that profit. So they're going to want someone who is excellent, because the thing is, other races come and get hired with purple hair, pink hair, all types of piercings. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this age. So why is my hair that's neat, that's natural? Why does that pose such a problem? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the questions that we really have to ask ourselves. And I think the answer is because, you know, it allows us to be exactly who we are, you know, to be powerful, to be free, you know, to be, you know, intellectually dominant, you know, because when our hair is exactly the way it's supposed to be, meaning our mind is exactly the way it's supposed to be, which is, you know, spiritually dominant, you know, like we see it through history, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think it's that element trying to keep you in a box to forget that you're, you know, that you're a godly being. That's how I feel, honestly. Yeah.
I love that answer. 100%. Yeah, You're right. I guess at the bottom line, really, the company just needs to make a profit. So if there's anything else kind of holding them back from hiring someone with that value, it is kind of based on what you said before, insecurities with that. Man, very nice. So you also mentioned a little bit about professionalism, and that's actually kind of our kind of in short, one of our missions is to really redefine professionalism, kind of go at it. We talk about diversity, inclusion, natural hair. Locks are kind of our main focus, but it's kind of bigger than that. So kind of go back to professionalism. What does professionalism mean to you?
I mean, it means a couple things, and I think there's the self aspect is like how you present yourself, what you bring to the table, showing up on time, being well groomed, being excellent, being about your word, communicating well. You know what I'm saying? Like those things are what you present forward, carrying yourself with respect and dignity in a professional environment. And then there's an aspect of dealing with your colleagues in respectful ways. Being able to deal with conflicts, having compassion for people, having work ethic. You know what I'm saying? And I think that those things are like very important because in that professional environment, you want to create an environment that, I guess for lack of better terms, is kosher. So you want to speak in a way that conveys that you are about business and that you mean business, and I think that for an African American individual, a Black individual, it's very important how you present yourself and how you carry yourself in spaces because if you're in a space where you're the minority, you may not think so, but everybody's got their eyes on you because generally, just not in those kind of spaces, and people may not be around Black people that much in those spaces. Like I interviewed at certain residency programs, and my locks are like down to my down my back, but the other interviewees are pretty standard interviewees. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the odd one out, but I know to carry myself in a specific manner because there are already judgments and assumptions going on, in people's heads about, how you act or, what does it mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think the way you carry yourself, the way you work in the environment, is professionalism, and it needs to be to the highest tier. You need to carry yourself with respect and dignity. Be about your work, be able to resolve conflicts, respectfully and peacefully. And I think those things are really important because you're always going to have those things in the workplace. You're going to have conflicts. You're going to be looked at how well you perform, and not only how well you perform, how you carry yourself, and especially in medicine, how you deal with patients. Really, when it comes down to it, that's kind of how you're judged as a doctor. Like, sure, okay, you're a great doctor. You make these very rare diagnoses, and all that. But really, when it comes down to it, like what your patients say about you is really important. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the people you're servicing. So at the end of the day, you want them to be like, my doctor's very good. He's very professional. He has great bedside manner. That's a huge thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and as a medical student, those things were said about me. Like he has great bedside manner, carries himself very well liked by patients and staff. Well, and to me, that's professionalism, and that has nothing to do with my hair. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that just has to do with my character. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is that character is really the most important thing when it comes down to it. And I think that goes hand in hand with professionalism.
You're right. I guess it really doesn't have anything to do with your hair, kind of your character, being able to handle conflict, respect to your colleagues, presenting yourself. Quick question. Would you say that meditation or maybe the practice, or since you practice meditation so much, it helps you to resolve conflicts?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's like a great question because, I mean, I think it's so easy to get blown up in conflicts and to not, to look at them from an emotional lens while you're in one or whatever. But I think that one thing that meditation has taught me is how to respond and in opposition to reacting, because and it's still obviously a work in progress because you sometimes you get caught off guard, but in the moments where, you're in a meditative mind state, which you hope to have all day. It's like you take a moment and you assess the situation and you respond. You don't respond out of emotion. And I think that's the thing that makes conflict really just kind of like, go down a negative path, is that people respond out of emotion and just react to what they think a person is saying, or they react to something inside them that is triggered by what a person says. You know what I'm saying? Rather than looking at a situation objectively and saying, hey, you know what? I felt like what you did made me feel this way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you're a bad person, but your behavior to me in that moment was toxic, or I understand that my behavior was toxic and I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? That ability just to be very objective and be very honest and frank. And I think that meditation really allows you to do that, because it kind of, allows you to have more control over your ego. And, and I think that the ego can kind of blind you and make you feel like you're always right, or, so you have to defend yourself, when really, you just have to uphold truth. And I think that's the most important thing, your own truth. And, of course, having compassion and having love for people. But I think that's what meditation has always done for me, is just allow me to respond and really uphold my own truth.
Yeah. Nice. And you brought up something as well. It's interesting, kind of ego, and I'm starting to think about like ego versus confidence, because I feel like sometimes they're kind of like a parallel line, but then there are that kind of distinct differences. So, I guess, do you have any thoughts on like kind of the ego versus confidence, and how you can really still present yourself in that confident manner without kind of strictly thinking I'm right type of thing? Like how do you balance the two?
Yeah, no, that's a daily struggle, man. That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's like, you're always, I think it's being balanced though. I think you could be confident without being egotistical, right? Because I think that being balanced and being confident is like, I know my abilities. I may not be right all the time, but I'll present myself, the best way. And if I'm wrong, it's, me being wrong has nothing to do with my self-worth. And I think that's where we kind of go wrong. It's like, being right has to do with your self-worth. You know what I'm saying? To an extent, sure, you want to have some kind of grip over your reality. You want to make good decisions, but being right all the time is not necessarily having, the self-worth, because if you're right all the time, you're not learning anything. You know what I'm saying? You're not out there, you're not being exposed to that much, because if you're right all the time, then therefore, everything, right? But nobody knows everything. You know what I'm saying? You're always learning. So you can't be right all the time. So I think it's the perspective that you have, because being egotistical is just not allowing yourself to see both sides or multiple sides of a reality that you're in. You know what I'm saying? So when you're egotistical, typically you only see your side. But when you allow yourself to have like some objectiveness, then you can see multiple sides. And that really gives you more confidence, because then you can make decisions that are more informed, and, or you can make actions that are more informed. It's like, okay, I'm dealing with this person, or this patient might feel, this way about me and how I spoke to her, rather than saying, well, she needed to do this, and there's, I'm not apologizing for how I spoke to her. Like, no, you should always speak to a person in a compassionate way. Like, but of course, we slip up and we make mistakes, but to me, that's just the goal. And to me, that's power. You know what I'm saying? Being able to control your actions and to be compassionate, to give compassion to all people, because that's what we talk about, right? When we're talking about, religious text and all that, right? We talk about compassion, really, regardless of what people do, giving that compassion, because what they do is really a reflection of their environment on the inside, rather than really us. So to me, that goes kind of hand in hand with like ego and confidence, because confidence is just your self-worth, really, when it comes down to it. How you feel inside, but really your self-worth should come from your connection with spirit, your connection with God, your connection with your own self, rather than having ego. Is like, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this over this person. You know what I'm saying? It's just more like comparison. It's really just something that we all have to deal with every day.
Work on improving each day. Nice. Kind of empathy, compassion. That really ends up leading to confidence. I like that answer. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
So, yeah. So I guess really, I know, I appreciate you taking the time. So just have two kind of quick questions for you.
Sure.
What is there a particular hairstyle that you like having your locks in, like either it's like kind of up or just hanging down? Like, how do you wear it when you walk into work?
I typically wear it. I mean, I don't like my hair in my face, but I always wear it back in a ponytail. Yeah, there are some times where I'll put it in a bun, but ponytail always back, slick, just back. That's how I love it. I don't change that. My hair is always back in a ponytail. So.
Oh yeah, that's a go-to.
Yeah.
Nice. And do you do your hair yourself, or do you have like a hairstyle?
I do not. I sometimes I go to a shop, but one of my best friends does my hair, so she's always she's always doing my hair, and I'm asking her to do my hair. So, part of the neatness and and how it looks is attributed to her. Shout out to her. She's a wonderful woman. But
nice.
Yeah.
And she does it professionally?
No, actually, but she's just the type of person who can pick up something and do it very well. So,
okay.
Yeah. So,
that's what's up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, shout out to her. It's good to have good friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Very nice. So as lastly, and then we'll kind of end it on here. What message would you give to others about natural hair? Either people who wear it or people who are just not of that world and know nothing about it. What would you like to say to everyone?
Man, just live in truth. Live your truth. Don't change yourself for anybody. Be so unapologetically yourself that others have to bend to your will, into your truth. Your natural hair is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? All around the world, people want you to change how beautiful you are to look like them so they can feel more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
wearing anything else that is not your natural hair is just making them feel more comfortable around you, really, when it comes down to it. And we shouldn't do that. We should be unapologetically yourself. Your hair is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else's hair can do the things that our hair can do. Locks, braids, all these hairstyles that that just we say defy gravity, but really we literally can do anything with the hair. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we're living in an age where it's just like teach your brothers and sisters and daughters and sons just to be themselves. What they have on their head naturally is beautiful. It is. There is no other alternative. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, just be excellent. Just whatever you do it with so much power and excellence that it ain't even about your hair anymore. It's about wow. It becomes wow. This person has locks and they can do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what people should be saying. Like, wow, dude, that's you must be a heavy dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, So yeah, man, that's what I say. Be you, unapologetically.
Man, that's another great answer. Love it. Man, well, thank you, Dr. Abasi Bomani, for taking the time to share with us, share your life, share your journey, and also if there's anything we can do to kind of help you out in your journey when you kind of make it to where you are, let us know because we'd love to support.
Man, I just appreciate you reaching out and allowing me to just share myself and share my ideas, man, and just building with you. I appreciate that for sure. It's been great.
Thank you for joining us today. We're here to redefine professionalism by proving that natural hair and professionalism do coexist. Now, if you like today's episode, please go find us on your favorite podcasting app to subscribe to our show so you don't miss the very next episode that is coming very soon. You can search for BossLocks, that is BossLocks. You could also join our community by finding us on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. If you do a search for BossLocks, that is BossLocks. Thank you, and we will see you next time.